Hey guys, welcome back to Epicenter Garage. Today, I know I always say, but today is an awesome day. So today is going to be part 2 from the last video of when I took you around in this main little small area where I work on cars. I think we covered maybe 10 or 11, 12 cars, something like whatever, however many cars are in here right now. But today is going to be part 2 of that, where we're going to, I know last time we got a chance to go through the door, but the problem was that video started being about 20 minutes longer than that. And I apologize, but today is part 2. We're going to start on one end. So we're going to go through the door, start on one end, and see how far we get today. So let's go. So we're going to start right at the front of the line. There are a few cars over here and behind the motorhome, but I want to start down on this end. This is my 1986 Honda Civic SI. About 100 horsepower. Well, actually, I think they're about 91 horsepower and 90 foot-pounds of torque. It's a 1.5 liter with a 5-speed gearbox. And you guys, this car is one of my favorite cars that I own. I can't tell you exactly why. It's not necessarily the way it drives or the way it looks. It's just when I get in it and drive it, it's just so smooth and it's peppy. You know, they're not super fast, 0 to 60, I think 10 seconds, quarter mile in 17 seconds. So not super fast, but in 1985, that wasn't actually too bad. Now this one has 132,000 miles on it. I think right around there, maybe 130, but in absolutely, I think, fantastic condition. It has a little bit of rippling. Whoops, as I dropped the charger, a little bit of rippling on the dash right there. I'm still looking for a few parts for this car. For example, the clock up here does not work. Well, it sometimes works. But the door panels, everything on this car is really nice. Now the paint though, it's seen better days. It is quite faded. Now I've been told, now I am not somebody that is a paint expert by any means, but I've been told that this could be buffed out and look like brand new. I have my doubts because my main plan is to repaint this entire car. You know, it's got this pinstripe right here and that will all be redone. Actually I took the mud flaps off because the bumper is a little sagging right here, but all that is going to be fixed. And that's what's so much fun about this car, because it deserves that, because this car has no rust on it anywhere and drives absolutely perfect. You can see here, got the 1.5 liter. If I can do this one hand, we're going to find, oh, there we go. Remembered how to do it. 1.5 liter engine. It is very dirty because I drive this car quite a bit. Because when I come in here, I need to run around town or do something. This is a car I jump in and drive, and oh, I just love it. But we got to keep going. We got to keep going. So this is my 1987 911 Carrera. It is done. It's a G-body car with a 3.2 in it, even though it does say 2.7. This is the car that I had backdated. So it looks like, you know, obviously a 1973 911 Carrera, but it's actually, once again, it's a 1987. I should actually pull these cars out when I start talking about them, but today we're going to be flying through cars so fast that, you know, we only have so much time. So this is my 1990 Miata 1.6 liter. Love this car. It's got I think actually it has about the same amount of miles as the Honda, so 130,000 miles. Great car, especially with the hardtop. This is my 1984 Ferrari 308 Quattro valve. Obviously it's V8 with the 3-liter V8 with 4 valves per cylinder. Great car. You can see here, I've actually got the spare tire out because I needed to put it on charge here. Oh, one thing too, you always want to, if you're ever in the market for a 308, one of the things I always look for, even though I'm not looking for more 308s, is something I always look for is right here. You can see you've got the prop rod for the front hood. One of the things you always want to look for is a lot of times these are bent right here, because what happens is people come up, they see the hood's open, and they simply pull down on the hood when they actually should release that. Oh my gosh. I just about pinched my fingers off. Anyway, so that's one of the things, a little tidbit if you're looking for one to see if somebody's actually taking good care of a 308. You know, this, a lot of times they'll go in and reinforce this right here, but always look at that. A lot of times that's cracked. Great car. This one has about 55,000 miles on it. I bought it years and years ago, just put new tires on it. But I'm getting ready to change the oil and actually bleed the brakes, put new brake fluid in it. So moving on. This is my 1984 pretty much the same car as that one, but this is a 1984 308 GTB Quattro valve, where in the US, when these things came out, most everybody wanted obviously the Targa top, AKA like Magnum PI and things like that. And well, that's a whole nother thing we can talk about. Like, what was the 308 in those in that show? Well, most people did not want the GTB, but in Europe they did, simply because it was a better, I want to say a better car, but it was a better car. I think it's prettier than the GTS, simply because the Berlinetta, obviously you have, I would call it a hard top, but it does have a roof on it, permanent roof. But this is a great car. I bought this car I don't even know how long ago I bought this car, but when I did buy it, I didn't buy it sight unseen, but that was the day, before, I don't want to say before the internet, but I only had a few pictures of this car. When it came in, it ran terribly, absolutely terrible. And I had no money whatsoever at the time. And I had to start, throwing some money at this car. And I thought, where is the end? Yeah, I just kept spending more and more money on this car. My wife was like, Kristen's like, Brian, you've spent this money on this car. How much more are you going to need to spend on this thing to literally get it running where we can drive it down the street? And lo and behold, I did get it figured out, and we've been racking miles on it ever since. Now, one of the things that I did do on this car, and I did do it on this car, on the GTS, is I pushed the front and rear bumpers in. You guys may have noticed, they look a little bit shorter. This is kind of the Euro look. And so the US bumpers, they really stick out. You have those 5-mile-an-hour bumpers that really stick out pretty far. So what I do when I bought these cars, or at least when I bought this one, and then I eventually did that one, is I pushed the front bumpers in. There's a trick you can do, and you can find it on YouTube, where you can push the bumpers in. But anyway, I've done it on the front and rear, but both these cars drive absolutely fantastic. I would say the GTB drives a little bit better, simply because the chassis rigidity is quite a bit more stiff. Right here is my Beck. It's a 2005, but it's supposed to look, obviously it looks like a 1955 Spyder. These cars, I used to hate these cars, because every one I would see with the top on it would just look like a toupee and look terrible. But then I drove one, and I was blown away. Now, this one does have a CB motor in it, so this is the higher horsepower. This one puts out about 150, 160 horsepower, and weighs, I think these cars weigh right around 1,400 pounds, and they're just so ridiculously fun. And one of the lightest cars, I mean, you can just grab this, you can push this thing, one hand, no problem. Now, I did have a little bit of accident here. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I think somebody got out of this car. Somebody I was letting drive it and pulled on the windshield right here and cracked the windshield. But I do have a brand new windshield sitting right over here, which that's a little ways down on the project list, but it's going to be coming here pretty soon. But it's really dirty. I've been driving this thing quite a bit now that all the bugs and stuff are out for springtime. And fantastic car. Now, this is my 1980 Lamborghini Countach LP400S. This is what's considered a low body car. So, and I'm gonna do another episode here before long talking about a low body car versus a high body car. But I bought this car, oh man, I can't even remember how long. I've got a terrible memory, but long time ago, because the amount of money I spent on this car, back then it was a lot of money. Nowadays it's absolutely nothing. But it was a very hard decision to buy this car. Although I wanted it, it wasn't a matter of whether I wanted it, it was a matter of whether I could afford it. And I did. I pulled the trigger, and I'm so glad that I did. It was literally one of those moments where it could have gone either way. But I love this car. I've driven this car a lot. I've enjoyed this one through the years. I've taken on rallies and all over the place. Wonderful car. And I'm going to do a kind of a deep dive into this car in a future episode. This is my 1974 Alfa Romeo GTV with a 2-liter in it. Oh, just these cars. And this one obviously has the bumper. I do have the bumpers for it. It has the bumper delete. Wonderful car. Everything I heard or read about driving these cars and the way they sound is absolutely true. Now, this one has received a light restoration through the years. It has a few little things here and there I still need to fix every once in a while. You have like the windows on the side right here. It needs some trim done up. But these cars are so, obviously they're Italian car, but they are so Italian. I just love it. And it's just artwork. The steering wheel, the way the shifter is, the dash, the wood. Fantastic car. If you guys are out there looking for a car that you can seriously fit 4 people in, I mean, don't put your biggest friends in the back because they won't fit, but you can seriously fit 4 people in these cars and go and have a wonderful time. Now this is my 1992 911 convertible. And when I say convertible, yes, this used to be a convertible. And as you can see, it's been converted into a 1974 911 RSR with a 3.6 in it. This car was built by John James Racing down in Arizona. And once again, you guys, I'm sorry, I should literally pull these cars out, but we're gonna get really in depth in these cars and fire them up in future episodes. So make sure you like them, subscribe. So when I start going through all these cars and we start pulling them out and really hammering on these cars, you guys can enjoy them as well. The interior has been done up. As you can see there, hopefully you guys can see that a little bit. The shifter, I put a really long shifter in it. And this has the center knockoff, so it's got the 15-inch with the single lug. You can see down there as well. Go around the front. Wonderful, wonderful car. So you have all the amenities. You have air conditioning. You have, you know, the ride, all of that stuff. The wind, I mean, it's a tight, tight car. And the fact that it used to be a convertible, and I had my doubts at first that we could weld a top on this car and seal it up, but it drives just as well, if not even better than my stock 964 C2 cars that are non-convertible. So moving on, sorry, this is my 2015 Alfa Romeo 4C. This is the launch edition. I can't remember, I believe this car is number 392, if I remember right. Fantastic car. I mean, oh, I read so much about these cars and their capability and how much fun they were to drive. It's all true. It's absolutely a blast to drive. And, you know, I'm a guy, I mean, I like manual gearboxes. This has a 6-speed sequential gearbox, and it's good. Like, it won me over big time. Out of all these cars, out of all the cars that I have, they're all manual cars. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like an automatic, you know, even a semi-automatic gearbox, but this car, man, it's almost like PDK. At first when I drove a PDK, well, I was getting ready to drive, I was like, you know, I'm not gonna like this. And then, oh, they're so good now. I don't wanna say they're too good. They're getting to that point where they're too good, but fantastic car, very, very dirty. I apologize, guys. You can see it's got bugs and stuff all over it because I drive this car quite a bit, and none of these cars are very clean. They all run really well. I always maintain them. I'm always working on these cars and maintaining them, but they don't hit car washes very often. This right here is my 1993, I almost said Honda, Nissan GTR. It's slightly modified. This one, you know, stock they were 276, 280, but realistically they're about 320. This one puts out probably about 350 horsepower, different exhaust, intake, a few other things here and there. One of my, I know I said the Honda at the very end was probably my favorite car, but this is a car that totally blew my mind because this one has 190,000 kilometers on it, and it drives like it just came off the lot. Or wouldn't that be awesome to be able to, back in the day, to drive one of these things off the Nissan lot? But yes, it drives like a brand new car. It doesn't have any rattles or squeaks. It's obviously, it has the stock suspension on it for not having rattles or squeaks. Wonderful, wonderful car. But before this video gets into another 20+ minute video, guys, we've got a long way to go, but that about wraps it up today. So please like and subscribe, and you can join me as we keep on going in the next episode. Take care, guys.